Now, as we continue to have our cattle auctions live from our studio in Fort Worth, and we don't hit the road for another 2 months, I wanted to share with all of you something that is so special to Fort Worth, the stockyards, and me. It's the Fort Worth herd, who make their trek twice a day down Exchange Avenue to commemorate the importance of the stockyards and embrace our Western history. Meet Sancho, the oldest longhorn in the string of 16 that hit the Fort Worth Stockyards National Historic District bricks twice daily for thousands of visitors that visit Fort Worth throughout the year. Sancho, along with lead steer Duramax, Valentino, Freckles, and the rest of the gang, serve as a remembrance of what Fort Worth was known for decades ago.
The Fort Worth herd was established by the city of Fort Worth in 1999 to celebrate Fort Worth's Western heritage and their 150th year anniversary. Since then, we've been driving the Longhorns down Exchange Avenue every day at 11:30 and 4 o'clock to commemorate that time in our history.
Kristin, Jaworski, trail boss of the Fort Worth herd, has been involved since the herd's inception in 1999. She says her main objective is to preserve the authenticity of the herd, making sure from their saddles to their boots, everything is as though it was right after the Civil War, when Longhorns came through along the Chisholm Trail. Along with the Fort Worth herd, drovers are another key component to making this worldwide attraction such a success.
So authenticity is the key, and the drovers are a really important part of that. And each one of those drovers has such a personality of their own. They really get into the spirit. They're really actors on horseback. We've got diversity among the drovers. We've got, of course, females and males and our African Americans and our Hispanics, because that's what made up the cattle drive in the early 1800s.
Rocky, a 7-year veteran to the Fort Worth herd, can't imagine doing anything else. His bay gelding, Little Texas, was appropriately named after Teddy Roosevelt's longtime horse.
I love it. My favorite two things is being lead on the cattle drive, which is lead is the person that's in the front of the cattle. Then you have a right point, a left point, a right flank, a left flank, and a drag. And that's sort of surrounding the cattle. Also, my other famous thing that I like is cow camp. We do cow camp in the summertime, where we get hundreds of kids to come in and we do a show for them. And that's my most favorite thing.
Drovers take part in weekly horsemanship classes to hone in on their skills, bettering themselves as cowboys, and constantly working with their horses over obstacles, symbolizing the hustle and bustle of Exchange Avenue, the tourists, cars, and most importantly, children. The Fort Worth herd is seen by more than 500,000 tourists annually, and that number, well, it keeps growing. With the help of the city and the herd's nonprofit organization, it's able to continue its cultural impact and maintain itself as Fort Worth's official mascot.
Friends of the Fort Worth herd was started to help supplement some of the other costs of the herd that's necessary, replacing horses if needed. Cattle are usually donated. Some of the outfits or saddles that the herd needs for everyday life. This year, especially since the drought happened, supplementing the city's budget for feed has been our #1 priority. Feed has nearly doubled for these cattle, and so it's so important that the Friends of the Fort Worth herd are there to make sure that these big guys get all they want to eat.
The Fort Worth herd is thankful for the numerous donations it receives throughout the years, whether it be horses, longhorns, or much-needed hay. Sancho, Duramax, and the rest of the gang are grateful. Among their daily appearances in the Fort Worth stockyards, the herd's social calendar is always busy. If you can't make it to Fort Worth, you just might see them in a city near you.
Aside from the twice daily cattle drive, our largest one was a promotion that we did in New York City, where we took steers to Times Square for a media promotion to put Fort Worth on the map as a premier travel destination. We have taken them to DFW Airport to launch the first flight of Virgin America. And yes, we've tossed Subway sandwiches competing in competitions.
The Fort Worth herd brings back history twice a day to the thousands of visitors in Fort Worth, Texas. As you see the Longhorns and are greeted by the drovers, you just might stand a little taller in your boots, pull your cowboy hat down, and be proud to embrace our Western culture.